All right, welcome to another episode of Live Feed on Spotify. Let's get right to it. I'm going to try my best to keep these 5-minute long. I think that's the best thing for it to be. Remember that Live Feed on Spotify is sponsored by theBULLYexposed.com. They're the ones that keep this engine running. So go and support them by donating. So the topic today given to us by one of our followers is any relationship advice, something that you can give us that will make a relationship last a lifetime. Now, I'm going to be totally honest here. I have to be totally honest, so I don't look ridiculous in the long run. At this current moment, I am having trouble in my marriage. Put that out there first. So maybe I'm not the best person to give advice, this type of advice, right? That's why I'm coming out with the fact that I am having trouble right now. So that if a divorce ends up happening later on down the line, you don't say, well, why were you giving advice? I'm being straightforward. But I can give you advice as to what I've found that is happening to make that I should have saw when I was younger in this relationship that I'm currently in. And that is the best thing to when starting a relationship, I think, nowadays, is you have to be all honest. Both people have to be honest up front. You have to be very honest. And because everyone out there is not honest, you have to think about asking the right questions. That's what I'm trying to say. So ask, what kind of relationship are you looking for? What kind of things that, and you got to ask the right questions. Unfortunately, I apologize. I can't think of those great questions right now. But one thing I know that people should do, look at the way people are behaving and acting. It's good to ask questions, like if you're a person that wants children and you're old enough, and you're saying, look, I want children in the future. What are your thoughts on that? And if the person says, well, I don't want any children, then that's where you should stop and understand that maybe this is not the right person for you. Because then you're going to waste, I'm sorry to use the word waste, but it's the truth, you're going to waste years with this person and then finally say, okay, I think we're ready to settle down. Even some people don't want to be married. I want to settle down. I want to get married and I want to have children. Then that person's going to be like, when we first met, I told you I'm not interested in those two things, or I'm not interested in one of those things. Then you get caught and have no one to blame but yourself because the other person was honest. Now, the other situation that you have to also remember is that sometimes some people don't tell the truth. Some people can tell you, oh, yeah, they key in on your emotions and they say, oh, it seems like this person wants to be married and wants to have children. So let me just say that those are the things that I want. Then it never happens, and then you just wasted your time again. I think that the number one thing that's happening with any relationship through a lifetime, even when the caveman hit over the head with his club the cave woman and dragged her into the cave. This is how long this has been happening, is that people don't look at the red flags and don't take the red flags seriously. If you meet a person and you tell the person, I want to be married someday, and the person says, so do I. But every time you talk with marriage, or you hear the person talk about marriage, they're talking about it negative, or talking about children, they're talking about it negatively. Maybe they might even spill some truth out and say, this is why I never want to have children, and then realize what they said and say, oh, no, that's just a joke. Don't worry. You got to look out for the flags. And I think that's what people don't do. You meet a person and you guys go out for drinks and the person always overdrinks and they're stumbling all over themselves. That's a red flag. And then you get married and the person's an alcoholic and they lose their job, and you go, wow, I didn't see that coming. Yes, you did see it coming. On your first date, person got so sloshed that they couldn't walk out of the bar. And it's not only didn't happen once, it happened several times. And those were red flags and you ignored them. That's, to me, that's the key to having a long relationship. Honestly, they're looking at that and seeing it and saying, yeah, this person's not right for me. She checks or he checks every box except for this one, and it's an important one. You don't have to say that every person you meet has to check all your boxes, but if you have some that are at the top, absolutely, positively, this has to happen. A person can't be a drunk. I've had friends that their fathers were alcoholics. One of the first things they do is like, I will not date a man that drinks at all. That's a hard person to find, but they're out there. I have friends like that. And if that's the case, then you have to stick to that. You can't say, oh, okay, yeah, maybe that is a little bizarre to expect of a person. No, stick to it. Stick to what you feel is right. I have friends whose parents smoked and they don't like smoking. So they meet a person lights up on the date, and the person says, I don't like smoking. And that person's like, you're so intriguing to me that I want to get to know you. So I will quit smoking. Then they quit smoking for that person. You are powerful. That's the one thing to say. You alone are powerful. Just stick to your guns and don't be shook. Don't be shook. As simple as that. Don't be shook by what anyone else is. If smoking is a done deal, that person, if they love you, will say, okay. Because the truth be told, all right, I don't care what any smoker says, they want to quit. Every smoker wants to quit, but they're like any other addiction. They're I don't know what the word is, but they're fixated on this thing, and they can't say, I gotta stop. So they keep going. All right, so that's going to do it for us for live feed on Spotify. Be sure to subscribe or follow. If you don't know where we are on Spotify, let me know, and I'll send you a link. There's many ways to contact me. Just contact me, and I'll send you the link so you could start to follow us on Spotify. But again, thanks to the person who offered us this question. We really do appreciate it. Keep those questions coming, and we will get eventually to everyone's question. But we appreciate it. Again, we love you. Have a great day. And remember, you are enough. You alone are enough.